So that was a pretty textbook game for what you're looking for in a Mermail's opening. Let's just see what the opponent's deck was. He's playing dinosaurs, obviously. Looks like a pretty typical deck. Obviously the 3 Maxi, 3 Ash, Giant Rex, Miscellaneous. You gotta negate that. Nobody knows what it does. It has so many words, but can't let that resolve. The Prankatops, we saw that. 1 Dogaran. Some more hand traps. 2 Conductors. So this is pretty pure dinosaur hand traps. I've seen some versions that play some other archetype cards in them, but this one's just dinosaurs. We got Dolka Lagia. These you like, if you rank 4, you can make these negate stuff. Abyss Dweller. Link Karibo. Yeah, looks like almost like some of these might be some budget options, but this is pretty much a full dinosaur deck. If you go on Duel Links Meta, you'll see lists pretty much like this. And now I'll show the Mermail deck that I was using. The opener that I did, other than the Ash, is kind of one of the textbook Mermail openers. There's 2 different openers for the deck. The one with Teus and Dragoons in the opening hand is probably the strongest. Let's see. My original version of the deck didn't have the Ash, but I kept getting Max Seed, and you just need the Ashes. You can't really play without them. Max Seed just ends the game if it resolves, pretty much. So you gotta have the Ashes till they ban Max Seed, maybe. So going through the deck, Fishborg Launcher. This is a target for the we got Halqifibrax. We got Beautiful Princess. So I don't see anyone else playing this, but the reason it's in the deck is because you can search it with 1-for-1. So if you open 1-for-1, you can get Beautiful Princess and then fetch Buzzsaw, and that makes you Bahamut Shark and gets you Toad. So it means you can turn 1-for-1 into a Toad. Because 1-for-1, the only other real target is Neptibus. And like, it's good to get Neptibus out because he's really strong, but if it's the only play you have, it's not that good. And being able to make a Toad off this card is pretty strong. You can also just normal summon it, make a Toad with him that way. Obviously 3 Neptibus. Usually you want to search it with Deep Sea Diva. But then there's also the opening that you saw where you search it with Dragoons and then discard it to summon Dragoons. So it's all around great card. And the discard or the send as cost of his effect means that you still get the search from the Dragoons you sent to the graveyard, even if they Ash Neptibus. So I actually think a lot of the time, if you're playing against this deck, it's better to Ash the search from the Dragoons rather than the search from Neptibus. But only water deck people should be hearing this. Don't let anyone else hear that. Got the Toad package. I love Toad. He's so good. Having a Swap Frog in hand, often you can make Toad even if they disrupt you a little bit, because he bounces himself back to hand and resummons himself. Toad's just real strong. Got 2 heavy infantry. Might be worth putting a 3rd one in, but right now I only have 2 copies, so until I get the 3rd one, it's staying at 2. 1 Agund, 1 Dine. These are just search targets. The Dine, when you search it to hand, you can special summon it. So sometimes if you search it with Teus and summon it, you could go into Abyss Lacia without using a normal summon, which is pretty nice. One annoying thing about this card, though, is that it misses timing. So if you use Teus and discard any of the Atlantean monsters that have effects in the graveyard, even if there's no target, their effect activation will cause Abyss Dine to miss timing when it enters hand. So it's a bit awkward. I think you actually saw that in this game, but I think it's still worth having in there. The other effect is if it gets special summoned from the graveyard, you can special summon another level 3 Mermail from the graveyard, which the only target is gunned, but sometimes it comes up that you're able to special summon this, say with a Coral Anemone, and you can get the Abyss gunned out, and you get an extra material, but it doesn't happen too often, but it does happen. Ash Blossom at 3. Minstrel down to 2. You can search Minstrel. It's really good. You can discard it and basically take a card from an opponent's hand for a turn. It can be really good to get rid of hand traps, but doesn't work against Max C. So if you do this and they have Max C in hand, they just activate Max C in response, and you can't do anything. So that's why it's at 2, not 3. You can also search it with Abyss Pike, or with Dragoons. So it's pretty easy to get to hand if you're looking for it. 1 Angler. This is a target for Buzzsaw Shark. Also, I find often you want an extender at level 4. So if you have this in hand, you can always just special summon it and then continue your plays. Other people play the there's like a Dragon Spirit. Search that, or something like that. Spirit, maybe? Thought it was called Spirit. It's this level 4 water monster that you can special summon it, but if you don't control any cards. So it's a worm. Maybe if I search water level 4 worm, I can find it. The reason I don't play that is because it's worm type. You can't search it with and you have to summon it first. So if you do it first, you're kind of like locking into what you're doing. You've got that level 4 in the field, so that's why I don't play it. And yeah, because Buzzsaw can't search it. So Buzzsaw is an instant rank 4 if you can get it on the field. You got to have 1 Lapis Dragon because you special summons itself and you can go into Hulk really easily. Only 1 Megalo right now. There's debate over whether you should play 0 or 2 of this card. I think 1 or 2 is right. 3 Teos because he's just good. 1 Citadel Whale. This is my extreme spice. Because I'm running Buzzsaw Shark, Buzzsaw can target a level 7 on the field and search for a fish. So you can actually, if you have Buzzsaw and any of your level 7 Mermails, you can target it instead of Buzzsaw Shark itself, and then search this from the deck onto the field, and you can go into a rank 7, or you could just leave it out because its effect, once per turn, if a water card is targeted, you can negate the effect and destroy it, and nobody knows what this card does, so having that effect is pretty sweet. I have 1 Moulin Glacia. This card I probably could cut. It's often hard to get exactly 5 water monsters in the graveyard, at least in this build of the deck, so sometimes you can't summon it. If you get disrupted at all, your count might go off and then you can't summon him and then he's not useful for the rest of the game. So, might cut this card. 2 Gameciel. If you ever end up going second, Kaijus are just so good. Get rid of your opponent's best thing. 1 Raigeki, Monster Reborn, 1 for 1 I already talked about. Abyss Scale, this is the search target for Megalo. Kind of sucks to have this in the opening hand, but the extra spell negate's pretty sweet. And not having something to search with Megalo kind of sucks if you do get him off. Also buffs his power, so sometimes that's enough to get in for lethal. And then 1 Impermanence. For the extra deck, Formula Synchron, Dragite for the 1 level 8 Synchro. Trishula, this can just get rid of some things that are impossible to get rid of otherwise, so that's why there's just 1 of them. Crocodragon, just a level 9 that you can summon without having the weird 2 non-tuner monster targets for Ice Barrier Dragon. Sometimes you have a level 1 and a level 8 and you can't summon anything unless you have this, so that's why he's in there. Satellite Warrior is for the combo that you saw in this game. You can use Formula Synchron from Hulk of Fibrax and any level 8 you control to make this during your opponent's turn and pop stuff. Toad's the best. If I could have 3 Toads, I'd play 3. Bahamut Shark, Dweller. Dweller could get cut, but he's getting against graveyard decks, so he stays for now. Gyos, almost never make Gyos, but his kind of skill drain effect prevents monsters from, you can negate opponent's monster effects. That can be quite strong. Zeus is great, gotta keep Zeus. Lacia is great. This card might be worth running 2 of. Hulk at 1, so only 1 Hulk. An enemy's great. Late game you can extend, get stuff out of the graveyard. The Ash Masha is part of a combo where you can summon a Dragoons and another Dragoons, 1 in the hand, 1 graveyard, and then make Bahamut Shark and detach, get a search. So that's another opener that you can do. That one is if you start with Diva. So another game I might show off that combo. And then Appaloosa is just a strong card if you have a lot of monsters on board. You can make this, have a bunch of monster negates, hopefully win. Anyway, that's the deck. Have a good night.